This is Steve Anthony with another episode of The Deep Dive.
And this is Barbara Silver. You send us your work through Starseed Films, and we review it on this show. Click like and subscribe and help lead everyone to this content so we can plant seeds of higher consciousness. Today, we're really plunging into something, well, profound, an ancient topic that honestly promises to shift how you see yourself and your place in the universe. Our guide for this journey is The Path to Self-Realization, a guide to awakening your divine nature.
It's a fascinating book, really. Pulls from timeless wisdom, and it's deliberately not tied down to any single religion or philosophy.
That's exactly right. And our mission really in this deep dive is to distill its insights. We're looking at self-discovery, self-mastery, and ultimately awakening that divine nature that the book says is inherent in all of us. It's basically an invitation, isn't it, to look
Yeah.
past the surface level of daily life.
Yeah, the hustle and bustle.
Exactly, and recognize the deeper reality within yourself.
We'll be exploring this, I think, quite transformative idea that real fulfillment, it isn't found outside, not in achievements, not in what we own. It's something revealed inside. This book really challenges you to move beyond what it calls the illusion of separation.
And uncover this infinite source of wisdom, love, divinity that's just waiting to be awakened within you.
And you'll discover, hopefully, how enlightenment isn't this like distant goal only for a few special people. It's actually something available to you right here, right now. The journey isn't really about becoming something totally new. It's more about remembering what you've always been at your core.
Okay, so let's unpack that. The book opens with a really strong statement. Self-discovery isn't adding to yourself, it's peeling away the layers that obscure your true nature.
Hmm.
We are so conditioned, aren't we, to identify with all the external stuff, roles, jobs, what we've achieved.
My possessions.
Yeah, but this suggests those are just layers.
And what's really insightful is how it defines self-realization. It's not just thinking about it, not an intellectual concept. It's the direct experience of one's true nature, beyond the limitations of the mind and ego. It's described as a fundamental shift in perception, an awakening, to the infinite presence that's always been there.
Always within you.
A felt sense, not just a thought.
And it does this beautiful job of highlighting what it calls universal truths across all spiritual traditions. It really makes the point that, okay, they look different on the surface, but traditions like Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sufism, Taoism.
They all point to the same core ideas, essentially.
Exactly. That we are all connected, that divinity resides within, and that love is the highest force. It draws from masters like Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Lao Tzu, Rumi, showing this incredible underlying unity.
It's quite powerful when you see it laid out like that.
Right. Okay, so chapter 1, the nature of the true self. Here's where it gets really foundational. The core misunderstanding, the source says, is believing we are only this body, this mind, this fleeting identity, just this temporary package. But the message from masters, from Adi Shankara all the way to Jesus, is kind of revolutionary. You are not the body, you are not the mind.
So what are you then?
You are the eternal awareness that witnesses both. You're the observer behind it all.
Okay, that's huge. And that leads right into this concept of Atman and Brahman from the Upanishads. Think of Atman as like your individual true self, and Brahman as the universal consciousness, the whole thing.
Right.
And the incredible insight is captured in that phrase, Tat Tyavansi. You are that. It basically means your true self, your awareness, isn't separate from the totality of existence. You are the universe experiencing itself through your unique point of view.
Wow, like a wave realizing it is the ocean.
Exactly that kind of realization.
And the book calls the feeling of being separate a trick of the mind. Says it thrives on duality, me versus you, this versus that. It uses that vivid analogy of a dream. You wake up and realize the whole dream was happening inside your own consciousness.
Yeah.
Well, in a deeper way, this waking life is happening within a greater consciousness that isn't separate from you.
And it's not just, ancient philosophy anymore. The deep dive points out that modern science is starting to echo this. Quantum physics, for example, suggests that at the deepest level, everything is interconnected, that oneness idea.
So, okay, bringing it back to the listener, what does this mean for you in daily life if you really start to see this? The book says fear disappears because there is nothing outside of you to fear.
Nothing truly separate.
Right. Love is no longer transactional. It becomes an unconditional state of being. Judgment fades, replaced by deep compassion.
It sounds Well, radical.
Sure.
A complete shift in how you experience everything.
And it doesn't just leave you there. The guide offers practical tools to start deepening this awareness. One is meditation on the witness. You just watch your thoughts, your feelings as they come and go, and then you gently ask, who is observing this?
Creating that space.
Exactly. It helps you realize you're not the thoughts, you're the awareness behind them. Another is Ramana Maharshi's self-inquiry, asking, to whom does this thought occur? And then ultimately, who am I? These aren't intellectual puzzles, they're invitations to direct experience.
So the key takeaway from this first big chapter is, it's a redefinition. You are not just a person living a life, you are life itself, aware of its own existence. You are the eternal witness. Powerful stuff.
Absolutely. So building on that, Chapter 2 tackles the presence of God within. It directly challenges that common idea that God is, somewhere else, up there, out there.
Separate.
Yes, it makes this bold statement, the kingdom of God is within you. And it says this isn't a metaphor, it's a direct and literal statement of reality.
So your very essence is divine. That's the argument. There's no actual separation between the creator and the created. And you see this echoed everywhere, right? Jesus saying, I and the Father are one, the Upanishads, Brahman is all and all is Brahman. Sufi masters, Taoist, Zen, they all point to this inner divinity.
And the only thing stopping us from realizing this, the book says, is that illusion of separation, which is fueled by the ego. The ego loves division, us and them.
It thrives on it.
But it suggests that in moments of quiet, of real stillness, you can sense something else, a vast, silent, eternal presence. And that, the source says, is God within you.
And realizing that completely changes how you see the world, doesn't it? Instead of seeing separate people, you start to recognize them as reflections. Reflections of the same divine consciousness. And that naturally dissolves judgment. It eliminates hatred. Because how can you hate another part of yourself?
Right. So for you listening, the practices offered here include things like silent contemplation, just focusing on that quiet presence beneath the mental noise, or seeing the divine in others, actively holding the awareness, this person is God in form, just like I am. And there's a very simple but potent I am meditation, just repeating I am. No labels, no additions, just pure being.
Yeah, feeling into that. So the core message here is really clear. God is the silent presence within you. It's the awareness that's always been there, watching, waiting, guiding you home. It's not a search outwards, but a recognition inwards.
Okay, Chapter 3, Awakening to Higher Consciousness. This one digs into the unseen gateway to this state. It asks, what keeps us asleep to this deeper reality? The answer it gives is our identification with thoughts, emotions, stories, fears, and desires. We get so caught up in the mental drama.
We think that's who we are.
Exactly. So the profound shift, the book says, is gaining the ability to observe without identifying.
When you can step back, just watch the mind doing its thing. A gap appears.
Yeah.
Just pure presence. Meditation, then, isn't about stopping thoughts. It's realizing you are the awareness in which thoughts appear. You are not the thoughts themselves.
I like how it talks about the ego here. It's not presented as this big enemy you have to fight and destroy. It's simply an illusion to be seen through.
Right. And it emphasizes the ego does not survive in presence. Why? Because it is not real. It's a construct. True awakening, then, feels like a return home. Not getting something new, but letting go of everything that was false.
The shedding of layers we talked about earlier?
Precisely. And here's a fascinating paradox it points out. Seeking prevents finding. It brings up that Zen saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water.
So externally, maybe nothing changes.
Externally, maybe not much, but internally, everything is different. Because the one who experiences life is no longer caught in illusion. The awareness has shifted fundamentally.
So living from this higher consciousness, what does that look like day to day? According to the book, you no longer fight what is, you flow with life. There's less resistance. You stop clinging to identity and allow yourself to simply be. You see others as reflections and you naturally value stillness.
It's a move from constant struggle to a kind of acceptance and flow.
Which leads nicely into Chapter 4, The Art of Inner Stillness. This chapter really highlights our modern worlds. Well, it calls it an addiction to noise, constant stimulation, constant distraction.
We've lost touch with the stillness beneath it all.
Yeah. And it clarifies, stillness isn't empty. It's not a void. It's presence. Pure awareness. And it's from this stillness that true wisdom emerges.
It connects this directly to spiritual wisdom, citing Psalm 46.9. Be still and know that I am God. It
Mm.
did. The book argues this isn't just metaphorical language, it's pointing to a literal state. When the mind is quiet enough, you can perceive that ultimate truth, the divine within.
So why do we avoid it so much if it's so valuable? The book suggests the mind is terrified of stillness because the mind defines itself by thinking, doing, moving.
In stillness, the ego feels threatened. It feels like something is being lost, its own sense of self.
Yeah, it's identity.
And meditation, in this light, is often misunderstood. It's not primarily about relaxation, though that can happen. It's about recognizing what is already present, that quiet stillness that's always underneath the noise. True meditation, the book suggests, becomes about carrying stillness with you everywhere, integrating it.
I love the analogy it uses here. You are not the storm, you are the sky. The mind will produce thoughts, emotions, like the sky holds clouds. That's natural.
Clouds come and go.
Right, but stillness lets you step back and see that no matter how many clouds drift by, the sky itself is never disturbed. It's untouched.
It gives such a sense of perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. Okay, chapter 5, Devotion and Surrender. Here, the deep dive introduces love not just as a feeling, but as the most powerful force in existence, even the very fabric of reality.
Wow.
And it explains the path of devotion bhakti is the direct path to the heart of this reality. And interestingly, it says this path requires only love, the willingness to surrender to something greater than oneself.
Surrender. That's a word people often fear, right? It sounds like giving up,
Yeah.
weakness.
Exactly. But it's redefined here powerfully as the highest form of power. Not submission, but union.
It's when the ego, that sense of separateness, crumbles. That's when, the book says, love can truly be experienced in its pure, unconditional form.
And this ties back to the idea that God is not far away. The true devotee, in this sense, isn't looking outwards. They see God everywhere, in the trees, in the sky, in the eyes of every person they meet.
That awareness transforms daily life into a living prayer. Everything becomes sacred.
And the chapter highlights two great teachers who really embodied this. First, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. He taught bhakti, devotion, as the simplest and most direct way to union with God.
Didn't he promise something to devotees?
Yes. To those who are constantly devoted and who worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. And then Jesus, who spoke of loving God with all your heart, soul, and mind as the first and greatest commandment, he taught that surrender to God's will was the key to liberation.
So again, different paths, different language.
But pointing to the same core, both reminded people God is not distant, that the divine is within, accessible through the heart, through love and surrender.
And this path of devotion, as presented here, it's not about rigid rules or dogma. It's about cultivating an intimate, living connection with the divine.
A connection that changes everything. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Chapter 6. The power of thought and vibration. This section talks about a hidden force behind our experience, thought itself. It's presented not just as mental chatter, but as the creative force that shapes reality itself. That's a massive claim.
It is, but it's one where, again, ancient wisdom and even aspects of modern science seem to be converging. The book argues consciousness is not a byproduct of the universe, it is the foundation of it. Everything has a vibration, and your thoughts shape your reality because your consciousness is an extension of the universal mind.
It drives this point home with really powerful quotes. It notes, when Jesus said, "As you believe, so shall it be done unto you," he was not speaking metaphorically.
He was describing a fundamental law.
That's the interpretation here, pointing to a fundamental law of existence. Consciousness influences form. And similarly, Buddha's saying, with our thoughts, we make the world.
And the book explains that every thought carries a specific vibration. So a mind filled with fear tends to attract or create chaotic experiences. A mind attuned to love generates harmony. It's not about forcing positive thoughts like toxic positivity.
Wait, not just pasting smiles on everything.
No. It's more about consciously attuning yourself to the deeper intelligence of the universe, aligning your inner state.
And it mentions great thinkers, Tesla, Einstein, Yogananda, who seem to understand this connection, that the outer world is a reflection of the inner. So prayer, meditation, these aren't just spiritual practices in this view. They're tools to shift your mind's frequency.
And therefore alter your experience. Because, as the book states simply, the external follows the internal.
The profound implication for you listening is, you are already shaping your reality, whether you realize it or not. The key is to become conscious of it, to take the reins.
To become a conscious creator of your experience.
Exactly. Okay, chapter 7 takes us on a journey, teachings from the East. The emphasis here, the book stresses, is on direct experience. Not just believing things, not dogma, but finding out for yourself.
Yeah, personal knowing. And it impacts some key figures. Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, taught that this universe is sustained by an eternal consciousness, and that your true self is beyond change, beyond suffering, beyond time. He really emphasized love and surrender. Bhakti is the simplest way to connect with that. Then there's the Buddha. He discovered that all suffering arises from attachment, clinging to things that are temporary by nature. His core insight, nothing lasts, everything changes. Impermanence.
So meditation for him was
About seeing clearly this impermanence, which leads towards nirvana, that state of being free from illusion. And famously, he urged people, do not believe something because I say it. See for yourself if it is true. Test it.
That's crucial.
And finally, Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching, revealing the effortless way of the Tao. His wisdom was that the greatest wisdom is not found in trying to control the world, but in flowing with it.
Yeah.
This is that concept of wu wei, effortless action, acting in harmony with how things naturally are. Like his advice, be like water.
Adaptable, flowing.
Exactly. So what's the common thread linking these Eastern masters?
The book points out that the mind is the great barrier to awakening. All that thinking, judging, analyzing. It emphasizes that reality is not found in the mind, it is found in direct experience.
So the path isn't about accumulating knowledge.
No, it is about seeing, feeling, and being.
Okay, so now we shift. Chapter 8, the mystical teachings of the West, showing that these profound paths aren't limited to one part of the world.
Absolutely, it's truly universal. So here, the book introduces us to Jesus. It argues his most radical teaching wasn't about heaven later, but that the kingdom of God is not a distant paradise. It is here now, within each person.
Right now, inside you.
Yes. He taught transcending the ego, often put as dying to the self, and that real faith is the knowing that one is already connected to the infinite.
Then there are the Sufi mystics within Islam. Their path was about dissolving into divine love, seeing God as love itself. Rumi captured it so beautifully. I searched for God and found only myself. I searched for myself and found only God.
Wow.
Their practice of fana was about the annihilation of the ego, dissolving that illusion of being separate.
And it also touches on Plotinus from ancient Greece, a Neoplatonist. He described reality flowing out from the one, a single divine source. He believed the illusion of separateness is what keeps us trapped, and he urged people, withdraw into yourself and look, cut away all that is unnecessary, and you will see that your soul is divine.
So the unity is clear, isn't it? Whether East or West, the core mystical message is there is no true separation between the self and the divine. Enlightenment isn't something you gain, it's our natural state, just hidden by illusion.
Okay, chapter 9 brings us to a fascinating area: science, consciousness, and spirituality. For a long time, these were seen as totally separate, even opposed. Science versus faith.
Right. But this deep dive highlights how the boundary between these two realms has begun to dissolve. There's a surprising convergence happening.
It puts it very powerfully. The most profound scientific discoveries of the modern age now echo what the great spiritual teachers have been saying for millennia. Things like consciousness is not merely a byproduct of the brain, that reality is far more fluid than it appears, and crucially, the observer plays a fundamental role in shaping what is perceived.
That last one is key, the observer effect. The source quotes figures like Ernest Holmes, who stated simply, there is one life, and that life is God, and that life is our life now.
And Alan Watts, with that amazing image, you are an aperture through which the universe is looking at and exploring itself. These aren't just poetic ideas anymore, they're resonating with findings in physics.
Absolutely. Quantum physics, especially experiments like the double-slit experiment, they strongly suggest the act of observation is not passive. It actively shapes what is being observed. This directly mirrors ancient teachings, doesn't it? Like Buddha's, with our thoughts, we make the world, or the Hindu concept of Maya reality as an illusion shaped by our perception.
And leading thinkers today, like physicist David Bohm talking about the implicate order, or Roger Penrose suggesting consciousness is fundamental, they're increasingly aligning with this mystical view of the universe as a vast, self-aware consciousness. It's really exciting.
As Ernest Holmes put it so practically, you are using the creative power of the universe every moment of your life. You're either using it consciously or unconsciously.
The choice is ours. The incredible implication for you listening is we are not just observers of life. We are active participants in its unfolding. We're co-creating it.
That's empowering and also a big responsibility.
Definitely. Okay, chapter 10 focuses on love as the ultimate path. And again, it defines love as something much bigger than just an emotion between people. It is, the book declares, the fabric of existence itself.
The fundamental nature of reality.
Yes. And true, divine love is described as unconditional because it does not come from the personal self. It is the very nature of who we are.
So it flows naturally when the ego, the sense of separation, isn't in the way. The greatest illusion, it keeps coming back to this, is that we are separate. When that illusion falls away, love is not something to be given or withheld. It is simply what is, your natural state.
And seeing the world through this lens of love means actively questioning the assumptions the mind has made about reality. Like when you feel judgment arise, asking yourself, what if the person I am judging is not separate from me at all?
What happens then?
The book says judgment just fades. It can't survive that perspective.
And this realization, it says, dissolves blame. It makes compassion effortless. It helps you see that every act of unkindness is fundamentally a call for love, a sign of someone who has forgotten who they are, forgotten their true nature.
And it makes a really powerful distinction. True love has no opposite. It's not the opposite of hate. It is the absence of it. Like light isn't the opposite of dark. Darkness is the absence of light.
I see. So when this deep, unconditional love is fully realized,
fear is not replaced with courage. It simply disappears. Because in that state of oneness, what is there truly to be afraid of?
nothing outside yourself.
Exactly. Which brings us to Chapter 11, Embodying Self-Realization. Here, the source identifies the greatest illusion, perhaps of all, the belief that awakening is a future event, a distant goal you have to strive for.
Something to achieve someday.
Right. But it states emphatically, self-realization is not a process, it is something that already is. The radical truth. You are already that which you seek. Right now.
So the mind, it's the storyteller of the false self, right? Creating narratives often of lack or striving which cause suffering. But the reminder is gentle but firm. You are not the mind. You are the awareness that observes the mind. Once this is truly seen, not just intellectually understood, but seen, the struggle disappears.
And the book describes the life of a person living from this realization, an awakened person. Their life moves naturally, without conflict, without doubt. Things just flow, their kindness, their love. It arises spontaneously. It's not forced. There's no fear in them. And their joy isn't dependent on circumstances. It comes from within.
But getting there, or rather realizing you're already there, means the false self must die. Not violently, but through the gentle but total surrender of everything that is not real, letting go of the illusion.
Well, it's when that constructed ego identity crumbles.
What emerges is peace beyond understanding, a state described as unmistakable and irreversible.
So for you, living as this divine presence in the world means love is no longer limited to a few. It radiates to all, without condition. Your life, infused with this, becomes a work of art, a living masterpiece.
Beautifully put.
And finally, Chapter 12, Becoming the Light of the World. This is the culmination. We arrive at the ultimate realization presented. You are not separate from God. You are existence itself. The dream of being small and limited, the book says, is ending.
And living as this infinite self means love is your natural state. It just flows. Fear dissolves, as we said, and life becomes play, not frivolous, but a joyful expression of divine creativity.
And this realization, this light, isn't meant to be hoarded. It's meant to be poured into the world. Expressed through every action, every word. It implies everything is spiritual, washing the dishes, talking to a neighbor.
It's all sacred when seen from that perspective. And this awareness naturally extends to all life, honoring the trees, the animals, every creature as an expression of the same consciousness. You are here, the book suggests, to love it into wholeness, to recognize the divinity in everything.
So the big picture question. What happens when enough people wake up to this inherent divinity? The book offers a transformative vision. War ends, hatred fades, greed disappears. Why? Because the root causes are based on the illusion of separation.
The world transforms as consciousness transforms. It starts within each of us.
Which means your awakening, your realization, isn't just a personal project. It is for all. As Ramana Maharshi powerfully stated, and the book quotes, your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render the world.
Wow. That really lands, doesn't it? So wrapping up our deep dive into the path to self-realization, it really reveals that this journey ultimately isn't about finding something new you don't have. It's about remembering something fundamental that has always been true about your inherent divine nature.
And that leaves us and you with a really provocative thought to sit with. If your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render the world, what does it actually mean for your daily life? What would it look like to truly embrace this idea that you are the universe experiencing itself through your unique perspective?
Yeah, how might that deep understanding shift your very next interaction, maybe with a family member or a colleague? How might it change your approach to a challenge you're facing, or just your quiet underlying sense of purpose? What might you begin to remember about who you truly are, and how could that begin to transform your reality right here, right now?
Powerful questions. We invite you to reflect on these profound concepts and maybe begin or continue your own exploration of these universal truths.